This is the Irving Conservation Commission October meeting, and we'll be getting started in just a moment. This is being recorded. If anyone has questions, they can put them in the question or chat box, and the chair can take them at their discretion. Just so you know, David, I don't see any attendees other than the folks who are on the agenda.
Right, and I don't see, I know that Morningstar is intending to be here. I just spoke with her on the phone. I don't have a clock on my screen anywhere, so.
It's 6:33.
6:33, okay. You want to wait a minute?
It's up to you, Quorum, if you want to get started.
Okay.
Oh, there she is.
She is there. Good.
I was having trouble getting it to connect, so I had to restart.
Oh yeah, it's been known to happen.
No, it never happens to us.
Yeah. Mariah, why would I have these two, a little circle with two vertical lines in them? Looks like a pause signal or something.
Yep.
Don't know what that is. I pause your webcam. It's just offering me to pause. All right, which I don't need to do. Okay, hi everybody. So it is probably 6:34 now, and
yep.
We'll open the meeting. Commissioners and guests present. So we have Marcia Bernard, we have Jason, and Caitlin. I think it is Caitlin. Okay, and then that's just for my benefit, but also for Carrie. So good. Vote on the minutes. Given that there are no minutes available for September 7th, we will table that. So we are now sliding into about 6:35, and we're ready to hear about the request for determination of applicability from, will Caitlin be presenting or Marcia?
That's Marcia and Jason.
Marcia and Jason. Okay.
And I'm going to let Jason talk.
All right. Okay.
He's my contractor.
It's all yours, Jason.
Oh, yeah. You're muted, maybe.
Yep.
Oh, it says you're unmuted on here, but we can't hear you. Yeah, if you check your computer settings, it might be muted on your computer and not on the program. And if not, I can give you the phone number to call into. Okay. Oh, 1 second. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. One moment. Oh, it was at the top of this, isn't it? That's listen only. Okay. We've got 562-247-8422. Then it's going to ask for an access code. And the access code is going to be 447-962-900.
Mariah, I have a question. This is for the Arch Street Sewer Project. Dewatering.
Okay, can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. No,
okay, I'm terribly sorry about that. I thought my phone or my computer was all set up. Okay, so everyone can hear me perfect?
Yep.
All right,
Yes.
excellent. Thank you, everyone, for your time, and I apologize for the technical difficulty. This isn't my first rodeo in front of a conservation commission, but there's always something new. My name is Jason Galvin. I am the agent and representative for Miss Marsha Bernard of 16 Church Street, and we're before you today for an RDA because Miss Bernard is experiencing most recently during the catastrophic rains this summer, some horrific flooding in her basement, which is on the screen right now, delineated by home. And I am looking to get a approval for a curtain drain around the exterior of the foundation, as well as repair some of the foundation walls and mortar that was eroded through the flooding of the last storm. In addition to the proposed work, I'm also applying to repair some of the stone of the riverbank that was dislodged and moved as well.
Okay. Quick question. Mike, are you familiar with this project?
Yes, I mean, I've looked at that site on that one, and I've seen this plan, and I've looked at it, reviewed it.
Okay, good. See, I'm going to plead ignorance here. When I put out the agenda, I did not see this on the agenda. So apparently,
I emailed it back to you and said that this had been edited, and I sent this out to everyone.
okay. Okay, but just so everybody knows, I didn't see that, so we'll go with it. Other members have seen, just 1 minute. Other commissioners have seen the material, so that's fine. But this is the first time I been made aware that there was a change there. This didn't happen. Okay, go ahead. All right, Jason. Mark, you were saying.
The end of the, I guess I can't run my mouse around. Well, there. No, that you can't see that. Anyway, the end of the new drainage that you're digging, what would that run into? Is that going to be buried? Is that going into a dry well? Is that going to come to the surface?
That's running to surface.
Is that because that's the surface of the land? Is it, in other words, is it going to be running level or slightly downhill and then coming out?
So the exterior curtain drain will be dug to the depth of the existing foundation, and from there we lasered over to Miss Bernard owns an abutting lot next door, and we have enough runoff to run that drain to daylight to the surface. So from the depth of the basement footings to the lot to the left that you see drawn there, the drain exiting to the left, that will then eventually come out to the surface.
Oh, all right. So it is going from right to left.
Yes, it's going from the home leftwards, as you see it there on the image.
Ah.
Yeah, so the purpose of this is to prevent water from seeping into the basement of the house. So it's moving water away from the house to the left.
Correct. So the purpose of the curtain drain is to alleviate any hydrostatic pressure or subterranean water which is making its way through the stone foundation. So any water, and that drain will be brought right to the surface, so it'll alleviate any surface water as well.
Well, my question though is that where it comes out, if there is any significant flow there, that's just going to aggravate existing problems, you know, in that area. Have you considered a dry well being put in there?
We could do a stone catch, a rain slough, or I mean anything that the conservation deems is necessary to prevent any impact to the surrounding areas. I'm open to any suggestions or requirements.
So I'm still trying to get oriented. The arrow on the left is what? That is the entrance to it?
No, that is the daylight gravity exit to the surface. So from the left back to the right, that straight pipe will connect to the curtain drain via a Y.
Mm-hmm. And the curving line that bears to the right, is that a stream? What is that?
That is a curtain drain. So that
That is
will
the
be
drain.
that is the drain itself. Yeah. So that drain will be dug to the depths of the footings of the existing foundation, and then washed gravel will be installed with a perforated pipe, and then a silt fence over that, and then rewash gravel on top of the silt fence up to the surface of the loam.
Mm-hmm. Now, what you call the river, that's probably the brook?
Correct. Kiev Brook.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So you have to excuse me. I was picturing that being the Miller's River, and that these lines here were some kind of brook, and I couldn't figure out. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't pass high school art.
No, it's just challenging for me to see
Sure,
that. So
I understand.
luckily, Mike has been there as well.
No, I haven't been there yet.
Okay.
So of course I would be, and as probably would be required anyway, to install silt fence and waddling along the brook to prevent any surface soil. And you know, I'm more than open or amenable to a walkthrough with the commission. If
we'll definitely have to do that. So I'm slow. When you talked about mortar, and is that in the brook that you're talking about? The wall in the brook?
So the mortar will be done in the interior of the foundation. And that's just to replace and repair any of the mortar that's washed away, because Ms. Bernard suffered like water literally pouring right through the interstitial space between the stone foundation. So I'll be repairing the mortar on the interior of the foundation.
Okay, so it'll be easier we'll definitely have to have a site visit just to help my slowness in figuring this out. But Mark has seen it. Mark has already mentioned a few things that your observations, right? So
yeah, I would like the modification where there was some kind of catchment or down on that, you know, at the left-hand side there, so that water in a future event didn't, or rather, or even over time, didn't create another pathway, which would, once again, perhaps, you know, damage the retaining wall along the brook, which if too many boulders fall into the brook, that will cause significant flooding problems in another rainy.
Would it be, excuse me, Mark, I'm sorry, would it be better, and I don't know if this could be done, but would it be possible to actually run the drain so it exits into the brook, or would that not be okay? That would prevent any erosion above the wall, and that might alleviate some of those concerns.
My gut feeling is that would be pretty challenging for us to permit, and probably we would get some expert advice from DEP. I don't know. I don't know if that would be a good idea or not. The last house on the brook that we were looking at, it was really, our consultant really specifically said, you know, if the water, the runoff is going somewhere, it should probably not go towards the bank of the brook, but into some kind of a depression in the land or somewhere. That's just, like I said, just me talking about this. It's going to be a lot easier if we are on site. I mean, there's everybody on the brook is going to have an issue because it's the riverfront protection zone. So this is going to be heavily vetted by DEP after we do this. So we will need to get to the site with our consultant and see what our heads put together, what we come up with. Obviously, there has to be some relief for this house and the house owner. But I think the next step will be to, all of us to see it and then make some recommendations. So typically in this process, as you probably know, the request for determination of applicability will first, then the site visit, and then after that, the determination. And we want to make sure that the determination is negative in the sense that there will be no impact, and that'll be a lot more expedient for the house owner and for Jason. So we've got to figure out a way to condition it within the RDA process. So I think certainly if Mark is the only person who's seen it, then once I can get there with Mike and Morningstar and our consultant, we can really give you some the best feedback we can give you. But that's just a natural step anyway. Typically we have someone like yourself present, and then we have a site visit, and then we have a meeting to make a determination.
Okay.
Is it possible, David, for to make a partial approval, put in the wattling and silt fencing, repair the stonework in the brook? I mean, can that get approved pending the rest of what we do, or do we have to wait on the whole thing?
Well, like I said, I haven't seen this RDA, so I don't know what the proposal is other than what Jason just presented. So if there's, can the work be separated out? Excavate, solid curtain drain.
To be honest, if I'm going to be moving equipment, I'm sorry. If I may, if I'm going to be moving equipment in, I would like to, especially because it is well within that 100-foot buffer that I would need to maintain, I would like to have a site visit first and have everyone sign off and know exactly what I'm doing, just because repairing anything would just be far and above and beyond. So I think if we could do a site visit first and then get everything on the up and up and then decide what we're going to do after that, I would prefer that.
Great, yeah. I mean, I would too, but this is great, yeah.
I would offer a friendly suggestion. You could have the site visit and have a posted meeting if Marcia was amenable to having a posted meeting in your yard, or you could have it at town hall. You could have your site visit and then have a meeting on site to approve this, so that you're not waiting until November to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I would so much appreciate that, because the thought of it's been awful, as you know, as residents, that those of us on the brook really sustained a lot of damage, and the brook has been damaged. But going through another winter where the water's pouring into my basement is just, I don't even want to think about that. So you are welcome to come on, welcome to visit and look all around. And if you can expedite it, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's a great suggestion from Mariah. Resetting stones in the riverbank, I'm just a little worried about that. It didn't look like your diagram had many stones that needed to be reset.
Three large boulders.
Three large boulders.
Three large boulders directly behind the house fell. And if that has to wait, I'm okay with that waiting. It's the other work that's the priority right now.
Yeah. Well, like I said, because of the brook and all the restrictions, every agency in the country has got oversight on these cold water fishery brooks, and we can't make any promises until we actually see it, and then have our professional give us his opinion. And actually he can in the past he's given us the conditions under which the work could be done. So I think the very best thing would be, like what Mariah said, would be to have the site visit as a posted meeting, and we could bring the paperwork with us. And as long as we got clearance from everybody's satisfaction, but clearance from our consultant, then we could sign off right there, I guess. So any suggestions as to when the site visit could happen?
David, I think you have to get a hold of Ward Smith and schedule it around him.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's pick a date and see if he will be there. And let's pick, I don't know, 2 dates. Let me check my calendar. I don't use a smartphone. I have a smart paper calendar. That's about the extent of it. So we have, for me, ideally, let's see, this is already the 5th. So next week is pretty chock full for me, but the week of the 18th to the 22nd, we could either, I would propose either the 18th, which is a Monday, or the 19th, which is a Tuesday. That would be the best for me anyway. I don't know about anybody else. Monday, Tuesday evening, late afternoon, morning, and it doesn't really matter.
I'll have to, I'm free on those days at this point, and if we get something scheduled, then I will be free.
Yeah, okay. Morning, do you have Morning Star? Do you have any druthers?
I think that those days are pretty free for me.
Yeah.
Preferably on Tuesday, preferably in the morning, but I could probably work around it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I definitely can't do it in the morning on the 19th, but I could do it later afternoon. But if it looks like you're free and clear on the 18th, Monday, that would be a pretty good time, I guess.
I am free until 4:30, and then I have
Okay.
to.
Yeah. Well, how about since it's getting dark earlier, how about, we could do it at any time on the 18th, depending on Jason's availability. But, I'd make a suggestion like 11 o'clock or 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It doesn't matter to me at this point.
2 o'clock, good with me, I think.
2 o'clock on the 18th. Most people Morning Star's good. Mark, is that okay with you?
Sure.
So 2 p.m. Jason, is that going to work?
Yes, that'll work fine.
Okay, 2 p.m. 18th. And Marcia, you ready to have tea and scones ready for us?
That's what
So
it
anyway,
takes.
yeah. Okay. Now I will get our consultant to confirm that. And if it's earlier or later that day, I'll let everybody know. But I'd like to stay fixed on the 18th just so that it'd be getting things done in a timely way so that Marcia and Jason can start working on this, remediating that problem. Possibly the stones will have to wait. I just don't know. It depends on what DEP has to say. So, okay. So far,
Now,
so good. Looks like,
repeat the time for me.
yeah, 2 p.m.
Got it.
on 2 p.m. on October 18th. It's a Monday. If for some reason Ward Smith is not available at that time, I'll try to get any time on the 18th that we can. And Morning Star is occupied after 4:30. So, if it happens to be later, we'll just have to go with the commissioners we have. But otherwise, it'd be great to get everybody there. Okay, is that going to work?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.
Okay, Jason, you're welcome. And we're doing what we can.
Okay.
Okay, Marcia,
you.
very good.
Thank
We'll be
you.
in touch. Marcia, do you have your phone number on file with Mariah or anybody?
Yes.
Mariah
Yeah.
knows. Okay, in case I have to call you or we have to call you directly just to make it quicker. Okay, all right, we're looking to the 18th at 2. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, good evening.
Okay, so what time is it now? Is it 7?
6:57.
6:57. So we will try then to do the RDA for the Arch Street project, right? And the dewatering of Kia Brook. Is that where we're at? Okay. So we will open the public meeting. For commissioners, just to note, the RDA requires a meeting and an NOA requires a hearing. So there is a little vocabulary difference there. So this is a public meeting. Okay, all set. I guess this is Caitlin.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, good.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin DeWolf. I work at Time Bond, and I am here to kind of walk you through the dewatering and water control plan that Aqualine Utility submitted for the Arch Street sewer force main project. And just to note, they submitted one recently, but today during our progress meeting noted that they had modified it, so they submitted it this afternoon again. So if you've seen a previous water control plan, there are some updates to this one. So yeah, without further ado, I can walk you through this plan unless you have any other questions.
Yep.
All right, excellent. So if you're able to maybe zoom out or go to the first page of this or the second page. Yeah, second page.
The second page of the plans or the second page of the packet?
Second page of the packet. Yeah. Yeah, so it should say Aqua. Yes, that one. Excellent. Okay. So we have reviewed this plan and believe it is in accordance with our drawings and specs. So Aqualine is proposing to install sandbags upstream and downstream of the work in Kayup Brook. The sandbags will be installed as the detail shows on the bottom of the screen. Water will be diverted through a 60-inch diversion pipe, which is that is the main modification. Previously, they were planning on pumping the water. And I believe that the material is HDPE, but we can clarify that with Aqualine. Material of the diversion pipe. And what else? In addition to this, Aqualine will be, in addition to installing the sewer force main, they will also be removing the existing asbestos cement pipe and concrete encasement that is in Kayup Brook. And also, I clarified with the contractor, it's not on the plan, but they are also going to use a dewatering pump within the stream to relieve any groundwater flow that isn't caught by the diversion pipe. And that that will be sent through a filtration bag. And yeah. So if you go to the next page or skip the drawing cover and then, yes, go to this one and maybe zoom out a bit. So these are our drawings. And if you pan down a little bit, they have indicated the stream bypass that they've chosen to use. They're going to divert flow through the 60-inch pipe, sort of as shown here, but as you'll see on the next page, which you can navigate to now if you'd like. Great. It looks like they're going to be conveying directly through instead of kind of in a like angled manner shown on the previous. Sandbags will be installed in the alignment shown on the plans. And as I noted, they aren't showing a dewatering pump currently, but I clarified with the contractor that they will be dewatering the work area, the dry work area, where they will be installing the pipe and removing asbestos cement pipe. And if that's kind of all there is to the plan currently, or that they've submitted. So if you have any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to try and answer questions you have.
The nature of the equipment that will have to be in on the banks there, a lot of heavy equipment, a lot of cranes, or what will be going on there to do all this work?
Yeah, so I believe that it will be heavy equipment. They didn't clarify this in the plan. They've been using like steel track excavators and rubber tire excavators, but this was not clarified in the plan, and we can ask them to provide that information if it would be helpful.
Yeah. Well, one of the boilerplate things, of course, is to know what kind of equipment is there, and if we issue a determination that this will not impact adversely the area, nevertheless, we want to know, we would have a condition such as any refueling of the equipment would be done well off-site, out of out of the sensitive boundary of the bank. So that's just one boilerplate that we always would consider. Am I missing something? But there probably isn't any. Well, there probably has to be excavation, because you need a dry stretch of creek bed in order to lay make it dry to work in. So the excavation will, I'm picturing a trench, right, on either side of the bank.
Yes.
So yeah, so somehow protective devices for assuring that none of the excavated material winds up in the brook. I'm assuming that the different commissioners will have to study the plan, but just easily observable, it seems like that would be something really important to condition.
David, would you like me to pull up the RDA that you approved for this, that you can see what you've already put, or the NOI, whatever you guys filed previously?
Yeah, it was an NOI, I think.
Okay, because you guys already approved the NOI, but you asked for them to submit the dewatering plan before the work in the book continued. So you already put conditions on this, and I can pull it up if you'd like.
Sure. Well, it's probably a good idea to refresh our memories. When was this? When did we do the NOI?
I think it was May or something to that effect, this spring.
Spring. We took it for.
No. Oh, maybe that was it. One second.
Draft order of conditions.
Special conditions.
Okay.
Work on the bank and land underwater waterway may only take place during low flow periods in the summer or early fall.
Number 4, the applicant shall submit a revised plan to include removing the portion of existing pipe. Yeah, okay. So as this is, the focus is a little bit finer now that we have gotten the dewatering plan, and I think that what this RDA is about is seeking a negative determination.
Hold on, David. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's not an RDA. It's just the dewatering plan.
Oh.
So there's not really, my understanding is there's not really a determination that's made. This plan just needs to be approved. And I don't know, Caitlin, do you know what happens if they have conditions for that approval?
So we want to get your approval on this plan, and if you have comments, we can relay those to the contractor and they will resubmit the plan. That's typically when they submit things like this, we would review them and submit comments back to them, and then they would revise as needed. And so we can do that here if you would like to make any changes to the dewatering plan, but they won't begin this work until the Concom says it's approved.
Mhm.
So I think, David and all, if you wanted to provide feedback to Caitlin with the understanding that if those changes are made, that it would have your approval, then the contractor wouldn't have to wait for you to review the new plan.
Yeah.
You would have permission to tie and bond to approve it on the town's behalf. Kind of allows you to give feedback, but also not hold up the project.
Right. Well, I mean, I think essentially any contractor working in a sensitive area like this would put in protections, whether it's siltation barriers or wattles to protect the bank and from erosion or from siltation. This is a complicated concept, given that the notice of intent has been filed and conditions applied. So I see what you're saying. I don't know. Well, I'm thinking out loud on my feet here. Anybody else have any comments while I'm trying to sort through this?
I think they've done what we've asked them to do. The condition we put on was that they would show us the dewatering plan a month before they start work.
Right.
I don't, if you want Ward Smith to look at it, but I don't have enough expertise to tell them one way or the other.
Yeah. Mark, any comment?
I just think this is what we asked them for. We see it, we need to approve it and move on so they can go forward. And it's, as I remember the site visit, this is in line with that site visit and the description of what would happen. It's specific as to what would be placed and how big the pipe would be and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm satisfied from my point of view. I'm satisfied with the dewatering plan. It's just now that as we're fine focusing, I want to be sure that there are proper what would I call it, precautions for the banks. I mean, it was I guess we didn't include that in the conditions. I'm assuming it's that every contractor working in an area like this would know what the best practices are. So, I don't think we should delay this for sure. Given that hopefully a drier period is coming up where the brook will be low in late October, November. So my concern is not any further delay. That's for sure. Yeah, Mark.
Can we, Mariah, can you enlarge? I can't read the print on several of these designations there. So basket filled with modified rock. Okay, I see this. So, and then go down a little bit so I can see what's down below there. Force me. Straw wattles is there.
Yeah.
Abandoned in place. I see that. Bike paths and accordance.
Right. With the closer focus, I see. Yeah, there's the wattles are there. So I can feel comfortable with the plan as it is. There is an erosion control in place, so that was my main concern. It's just it's again a boilerplate situation, but there is best practices observed here, so I don't have a problem.
I think that collectively you can all give Ty and Bond the feedback that you want them to ensure that best practices are followed, and they're in charge of enforcing that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, as I was saying, any contractor and engineering firm worth their professional certification knows what the best practices are. And I was focusing on other parts of the drawing, but certainly with coming into view, though, there it is. The wattles are right there, which is like I said, the basic protection.
The screen over, and we can take a look at what's over on the other side there, just to make sure we're seeing all that too.
If you don't mind me interjecting, this on the right side is the horizontal directional drilling behind Tim's RV. So it's not
the same stuff.
No, so it's a different view.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. For my money, my hesitation is resolved, so I'm not too worried about this now. So the caveat would be clearly that Ty and Bond and the construction company will observe best practices. So, and the siltation protections are there, so we're good to go, at least in my opinion. So I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we accept the dewatering plan. And then there will be further discussion. So I make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, good. Any further discussion, clarifications, questions before we vote?
I have one, if you don't mind. So you mentioned wondering about what equipment will be used. Would you like us to ask the contractor to clarify that? That's something we can do pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming it's going to be heavy equipment. Does anybody have any reservations about approving? Just assuming that. I asked only because of the refueling concept there. I'm assuming the land is sensitive, and heavier equipment will compress the surface, and that may create a situation. But it's pretty hard to mitigate that. You got to use what you got to use. So, and I don't want to open a can of worms by modifying or adding another condition. So, anybody have any concerns about that? About the type of equipment or the weight of the equipment or?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, Caitlin, we're okay with that.
Thank you.
All right, so further discussion. So Mariah, is it correct that we would vote on accepting the dewatering plan as presented? The bypass of dewatering plan?
That sounds like a safe bet to me. I don't think there's any paperwork that you need to fill out, but I think taking the vote makes sense.
Yeah, okay, but the wording is correct, to just a vote to approve the dewatering plan. Okay, so the motion is to approve the plan. We've had our conversation and discussion. So all those in favor of accepting the Kia Brook bypass and dewatering plan, aye. David Brule, aye.
Mark Waxley, aye.
Morningstar Chenvin, aye.
Mike Schaefer, aye.
Okay, good. It is unanimous. So there you go. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you so much for your time.
Do you have an idea about when they're going to be thinking of doing this?
They will likely be doing it in November. That's their current outlook, because there's been some delays elsewhere on the project.
Probably take how much time do you think?
Likely
week or two?
week.
A week.
Maybe we'll extend to 2 weeks, but no more than 2 weeks.
Yeah. So can you or somebody on your team let the Concom know when the work is going to start?
Of course.
Yeah. Thank you then. Okay. Are we all set?
All right. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Okay, Caitlin, thank you. So number 6, 61 North Street, 2 certificates of compliance. I will just give you the background. Is these, Mariah, or go back to the 80s? Is it possible?
Yeah, I think it was, there's one from 2001 and one from the 80s.
Yeah.
If you'd like, I can offer a little bit of context that I learned today, which was apparently we're going to be getting a lot of requests for certificates of compliance. Apparently there was case law in August that anyone who buys a property with an open permit can then be held liable for that permit. So even if you did not personally do that work, someone could come in with an enforcement order within 3 years and enforce that permit. So now what's happening is lawyers are advising their clients that before they buy a property, the seller must close out all permits. And that's exactly what happened in this is a gentleman's trying to sell his property. They found there were permits and they're trying to close them out before they sell the property.
Okay.
Can you tell me what permits you're talking about? I don't know what that means.
So the what you're reviewing. So this was an order of conditions for when someone files an NOI, a notice of intent, saying we're going to be doing this work. The Concom issues an order of conditions, saying, which is what we just looked at for the other projects, saying you can do the work under these conditions. The applicant is then required to file those conditions at the Registry of Deeds, and in 3 years, they must complete that project and turn in a request for certificate of completion, which the Concom reviews and says, yes, you completed this within our advised parameters, or no, you did not. That's required to be done within 3 years, but oftentimes what happens is the applicant either doesn't realize it or they forget. And so you end up with this, which is from the 1980s and 2001, where no one ever closed out the project. So the permit is sitting there open, and then when they go to sell, they have open permits on file. So that's kind of what has happened here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So typically, what you would do is when it's basically signing off, saying, okay, they did what they said they were going to do. And back in the 1980s, you know, we didn't have much guidance, and so a lot of those were hanging out there, in technically not completed and not signed off on. So what I'm going to suggest is that we sign off, agree to these certificates of compliance. We're not going to go back 20 years and we're not going to go back 30 years. I think I was around on the commission at that time, but you can be sure that 90% of the people who were have long, are long gone. So it's probably on me going way back, but I was just wading through the paperwork, and as I am now, and just glad to get things moving on. So I would request that you take my word for it, and Mariah would agree that we can sign off on this and make it possible for the landowner to proceed with the sale of the property. So excellent, thank you. Any further discussion or questions about this? Going forward, we got to remember to do this on the notice of intent. It's been one of those things where it just said, oh, okay, that'd be nice to do, but we got all these other things to do. So anyway.
Could I just ask that your motion, that you amend your motion to just include the request numbers? So these are the numbers.
Okay. Good. My only discussion point is, I think what you just said, going forward, we have to make sure they get closed out.
Yeah.
So can someone put together a list of what is open.
So I have one of those that I update semi-regularly, and I can send that out to you all. Mark Stinson also sent me all of the open NOIs. I have to go through, they're not in a spreadsheet, they're handwritten, and so I need to go in and enter those. I did ask him whether it made sense for you all to proactively try to reach out to these folks and close them out, and he said, he didn't outright say no, but he said that he's seen other towns try to do that, and it takes up a lot of time. And that we're probably better off just waiting for people to come to us over time. He said, if we do any effort, it might be just to send out one mailing to that property owner, notifying them that there is an outstanding permit. And that's all the follow-up that we do. We don't try to chase them down and force them to do the paperwork that we kind of, when they go to sell, they're going to have to do it anyways, kind of thing.
Yeah. Way back when I think Mike and Mark were just coming on, and we met at that famous night that we had with Mark Stinson, and he mentioned that it's not rare to have conservation commissions with certificates of compliance that are out there, and he recommended that those certificates be almost part of the agenda each time, so that we would not lose sight of the fact that they are still outstanding. But I agree with Mariah. I mean, given the fact that we meet once a month and have lots to do, it's kind of hard to reach out to everybody and push for it. But going forward, we gotta be very diligent about that. So I will amend the motion to say that the Conservation Commission accepts to sign off on 2 certificates of compliance, number 15421 and 15456. Second?
Second.
Okay, the motion, further discussion on the amendment to the motion. Do you all accept that? Let's vote on the amendment. David Brule, aye.
Mark Latchley, aye.
Morningstar Shenvin, aye.
All right, very good. And
Station, aye.
okay, so the motion has been amended. Do we need to vote again on the whole thing? I think it's done, right?
Yeah, you're done.
Yep. Okay.
The only thing I would ask is if people are able to come into town hall tomorrow to sign it. The owner is trying to close this week. I'll come into town hall. I'll probably be there by 9 and try to have it printed first thing. And if you can ring the doorbell if the door is not open, but that way, at least if we can get a quorum to sign it, I can send that right over to the owner and they can get started on their process.
Okay.
I won't be in town until next week.
Do you know how to sign things electronically, Mark? If I sent you a PDF?
If you send me a PDF, I think I can, but.
Okay. If not, we have a quorum of people.
Yeah, just send it to me and I'll try and do it and send it back to you.
Okay. I'll try to do that right after this meeting. And if you could try to do that tonight or in the morning, then I can print out the copy that has your signature and then everyone else can sign it in person. And if not, then if it doesn't work for some reason, then David, Mike, and Morningstar can all just sign it and they'll have a quorum and it's not a big deal.
Okay. I can tell you, as always, I'll come through on Thursday. Is this going to be too late for people? Because I can't get to the center of town tomorrow, that's for sure.
They requested it to be tomorrow, but it is what it is.
So Mark, we've got arrangements for that. Mike, can you sign tomorrow?
I'll try. I just feel this is a very rushed process that should be put on us to do this.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you don't have to. I'm just saying that the owner is trying to do this. So if you guys can't make it happen tomorrow, that's okay. But they told me that they're trying to close this week, and I said that we would try to make it as soon as possible, but I didn't promise that it would be done tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
I
If
think
we
that
could have done within a couple, when did we receive this request again? I'm sorry. How long ago?
Like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
All right, well,
And you
I'll
have another one for your next meeting as well that I just received today that I will send out to all of you.
Okay. Well, if it's going to help, I will drive into town, to the town hall tomorrow and sign this.
I can do that too, but it sounds like
I'm thinking it's going to happen every month, like next month. And I don't think it's a good system where we have to go to the town hall the next day to sign off on something.
I would venture to guess that this is a kind of one-off. I mean, the guy is trying to come do the closing this week, and so yeah, I think it is. I think it's unlikely that we'll need to do it like within 24 hours, but it's just me, maybe not.
I think it actually might be kind of common because I think lawyers aren't, because this is new, and maybe it'll change the longer this goes on, but I think they're not realizing it until after they've scheduled the closing that they're going to do this, and that sometimes it can take a month until the next meeting. They had already scheduled their closing, and they were the lawyer was upset when I told her that you weren't meeting for another 3 weeks and that they were going to hold off on their closing. And I said, well, that's the way it is. And Mark Stinson told me that sometimes what they'll do is they'll put money in escrow until the permit is closed out, but I don't know the details of it. So anyways, I don't think you should be required to go the next day. I do think that there is a reasonable time frame to get something signed of a few days, but I agree, Mike, it's not reasonable that every time someone does this, they expect to drop everything and go the next morning. Yes, I think if I can also tack onto that, there maybe you should all have a discussion about whether you'd like to continue meeting online or in person, because signing in person is obviously an instant thing.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, anyway, Morningstar said she can do it, I can do it, and that'll be, at least there'll be 2 signatures, and I feel like I'm kind of carrying this anyway, since.
I didn't say I couldn't do it. I'm just saying you're setting up a system that's terrible.
Yeah. I feel personally involved because back then, I mean, I was a member of the commission and we just didn't follow through, but so.
Mariah, I'll do that tonight.
Okay, I'll try to send that over right after the meeting.
Yeah, and your point's well taken, Mike. I don't want to get into a precedent where people will be expecting us to turn on a dime. So this is just one of the things, but otherwise people will need to know that we meet once a month, and that's basically it. So there are a couple more items left. Actually, there's a big item that is other topic not anticipated. If we can jump to that and then come back. Don't know if there are Poplar Mountain updates and Morningstar's looking into, is it glyphosate?
Glyphosate. I think we could glyphosates for the next, because I still have a lot of reading to do of bills, and so we can push that to the next one.
Okay.
I did want to just mention for the other topics I did have something.
Okay. Well, one of the burning issues is what's going on at the Red Lantern. And so it sounds like a small town drama right now because I don't know if anybody's driven by there, but there's a big load of debris and gravel kind of mixed stuff piled up against the side of the house, and clearly people are anticipating that they're going to build a driveway there. And the people are not apparently real, what would I say, fluent in English, and so there may have been something lost in translation or misunderstood. So apparently, this is what I know, they got a curb cut from the town. Is that it?
So when the previous property owner was trying to put in the driveway, they filed for a curb cut permit, and the curb cut permit is from the highway department, and they said, we'll give this to you, but you have to go to Concom to do the rest. And then they withdrew, they submitted an RDA, which you all talked about, but they ended up retracting it and it never was approved. And then that owner sold the property.
So,
is there a curb cut at this point or not?
beg your pardon?
Is there a curb cut or not? Has one been put in?
I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any idea, Mariah, whether that went forward?
You're the one that drove by. I haven't been over there.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was looking at the pile. I wasn't looking at the.
It wasn't there a month ago, but I haven't looked carefully for about a month.
Yeah. Regardless, somebody dumped a ton of stuff there, and 2 points came up. One obviously is it hasn't been filed properly. It's right on the edge of the riverbank, and Mark Stinson pointed out that it might not even be the property of the Red Lantern current owner, that it might be the next door neighbor's property. So Mark, I don't know if you all saw Mark's suggestion is to post basically a cease and desist order, a stop work order. And I guess I've rarely had to do this. I guess it would be mailed to them or posted on their door. I hesitate to post it on the door because we don't have any right to be on that property.
I believe you would certify mail it, David.
Yeah. So I'd need the address where to send it, and so we'd have to get that from somebody.
Jackie would probably have that in her database, the assessor's database.
Do we need a motion for that?
Well, we could make a motion, or we can just continue figuring out what we want to do, or vice versa. I mean, do you all feel strongly one way or the other?
We should send them a cease and desist order.
Okay. All right.
I mean, that's pretty obvious, and then they need to start going through the proper process of what would be the first form to request.
So you saw what Mark said. Mark said it's a no-brainer. Notice of intent, which requires some savvy and filing and a filing fee and posting, and then further discussion among us and a public hearing and an order of conditions. So I'm just saying that is the way to go. So I guess.
Does somebody need to call them on the phone and just make sure they understand, or talk to them so they understand what's going on? I wonder about that.
I think we have their email address, but maybe not their phone number. We spoke with the realtor last time who sold them the property but hasn't spoke to them since. And so she, I think, gave David and I their email address. And she's also the one who informed us that I believe their primary language is Moldovan. And so she was the one who suggested that perhaps something had been lost in translation. So David, when you write up the enforcement letter, we could maybe send that. You should absolutely send it certified mail, which I can help you with at town hall if you need it. But maybe we also email them a copy. That way they get it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Good. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we have had no contact. There's nobody there now. So every time I've driven by there, it's dark. So I guess they're going to convert it to a house, living quarters or something. Is anything going on in town hall about that?
Not that I know of. They don't have to contact us for that. So
Mm-hmm.
it could be that they're putting in a driveway for a business too. I mean, you don't really know.
Yeah.
What they're doing.
Okay. All right. So I will. First step will be to develop the enforcement order, which shouldn't take long. And then I'll have to check with Mariah on the address and email, and then we'll just, go forward. I haven't looked at the wording of the enforcement order, but somehow we have to get the point across. They probably have limited language, but nevertheless should be able to understand some of the basic statements. So we'll see what we can do. Yes, Mark.
Is in most house sales, there's one or two lawyers involved, and I'm just, our only contact is the real estate agents. Kind of surprises me. We might be able to identify in
Mm-hmm.
the transaction. We might be able to identify one of the lawyers involved.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to look that up on the Registry of Deeds website. I'm not sure if that is on the file or not. But David, if you email or call Jackie in the morning, she should be able to give you the owner's mailing address.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll make a motion that we send an enforcement order, a cease and desist work stoppage to the owners. Seconded by
Second.
Morningstar. And any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye, David Brule.
Aye, Mark Gladstein.
Aye, Morningstar Chenvin.
And I think that's an aye from Mike. Okay, good. All right. Yes. So
All right.
we're going to table the discussion on the research, and then Mark, do you have anything that you'd like us to know about Poplar Mountain?
Yes. There's a number of steps I'd like to get approved. Yeah, it's just trying to find the email that I put out. I'll just do it off the top of my head. And hopefully I'll get, so the first thing is that the proposed parking area. We went in and cleared the brush and small growth out of there. And in the end, there's really just two. Just a second. It turns out there's only two trees of any significance that for the chainsaw practice proposal we had, and the other two trees of any significance, like one's like 10 inches in diameter, and another's 12. They're hung up in that one that we have to get a truck brought in to deal with. But I would just I'd like to move that we we've got several volunteers that were capable of the chainsaw, and I'd like to take down those trees that are free of encumbering things, and cut them up and cut the trunks up for the elementary school, because the elementary school is not getting any at this point, or at least not as of last week. They weren't getting any.
I have a couple. I think I have a couple that are coming, but we have to be sure that they're not pine, right? Because pine will just get.
No, they're not pine at all. They're hardwoods.
Okay.
They're not birch either, which is, I'm not sure why they don't want birch, but birch, they're not birch, they're maples.
Yeah, because birch decays pretty fast.
So anyway, that was one proposal. And I would just, I don't know if we need a vote or just you need to say, hey, yes, that's, nobody objects to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I put that out to the various and sundry people who are volunteers, or have helped out at one time or another, or said they would, and I have not received any concern regarding that.
Right. Personally, I'll trust your judgment on the trees that have to be removed. So I don't think we need to make it any more formal than that.
The second thing is, the second one is I'd like to see us move forward with getting the town tree person to solicit bids for work on that fallen dead pine and the associated trees that are hung up in it. That I'm not sure when that could take place, but it would just be, he needs to look at it and say, okay, these are the companies that I use, and get them to have somebody stop by and say it's going to cost you this much or that much.
Mm-hmm. So what would be the process there? You would get in touch with the town
warden, but I would assume that's the step would be to call the tree warden and say, hey, would you solicit bids to look at it?
Yeah. All right.
So that's the second step. Just to get things going, because I wanted to see us move forward on it. I said I put out the idea of removing the blazes and the signs that refer to the east entrance, as well as the junction of the yellow trail to other trails, and block that trail and not put it on new maps. I wasn't suggesting doing anything else with it. I've gotten a really strong pushback today from Rob about, we don't want to abandon any trails, and he actually went out in the woods and cut a trail over. Now, I don't even know quite where he started it, over towards where we were going to have a parking lot there at the power line, which doesn't seem to me to make any sense. I don't know what the sense is to that. But he feels like they cut that trail and they worked really hard on it, and he doesn't want to see it abandoned. And
Mark, could I chime in for a second? Because I think there was a misunderstanding. So what you and I were talking about was the trailhead that's on private property.
Right.
Right. And just blocking off that trailhead. And so Rob, I think his intention was to, rather than having that trailhead be on private property, the trail that he cut would have access from the power lines, exactly where I haven't seen it, but I assume it's where we had proposed the trailhead would be if we had parking there at the power lines. So I think he agrees with that, but I think what he thought you were saying about blocking off the yellow trail was the trail that goes up by like the back of Mike's property and blocking all of that off. I think maybe what he was talking about. I was unclear when he was talking about blocking off an entire section of the trail because I believe you were only talking about the part that is on private property.
Well, actually, no, I was talking about from the sign that says this way to the east entrance, where the yellow trail comes down to the east entrance. It seems to me that in the future, we may want to do something to use that piece of trail, but for the moment, I was suggesting we abandon the east entrance, that we just close it. He said, oh no, that Harry and Sue, who worked on that trail, don't want it abandoned. And I talked to Harry and he said, oh yeah, we never use that. I don't know what that's going on about.
I think that there might be the misunderstanding about how much we're talking about.
It's just that little leg going down.
Yeah, maybe that makes sense to talk directly to Rob about, because I'm not clear on what's being said, but we definitely need to block off the entrance that's on private property, which I think he was agreeing with. So I'm a little unclear on, like, maybe it would be helpful for me to go out with you all and Ryan, our mapper, and like stand there and talk about this.
Well, the whole question is, do we have an east entrance or not? Because, I mean, and that's the only other thing. I sort of tried to avoid the question because it just, well, I don't know. I just was avoiding the issue. But if we don't have an east entrance, then people won't walk down the road. And
there's no parking. Yeah,
pardon?
Mark, there's no parking at the east. I agree with you. We don't want an east entrance because parking is going to be at the west end.
Well, people currently park at the east end, and people also make various and sundry loops and end up on the east end and walk along the road in front of the, the farm and the cross to their cars. And which, with that sharp curve, people have expressed that that's not something we want to encourage.
What if, rather than having it be an official trailhead, it was just like marked as the trail to get into the woods? So there was, like on the map, it's not saying like this is where you start. It's just that connects to the power lines where you are able to walk up.
Well, I think that ultimately the easiest solution is to run like this trail that he cut, and then go up from there to some other portion of the yellow trail, just to make a little loop down in that area. But regardless, if we're going to end the east entrance, we take the sign down and give back to Harry, because he made all those signs. And then we go along at various places where there is signs that say east entrance, and we mark that portion off, probably just with brown paint or something, mark off any reference to the east entrance, so that people don't think they can go up and make a loop and come out somewhere else on the road. Anyway, that was my suggestion, and I assumed any changes in trails would need our approval, and so I wasn't going to do anything with it unless people thought we should.
Well, it sounds, we're at a point where it sounds like what Mariah's suggestion was, unless you don't think it's needed anymore, would be to meet with Rob, who's got strong feelings about it, and Harry, who seems to say that sounds like a good idea, Mark, and then Mark, who's got the proposal. Would it make sense to get together to talk about it, or can we just assume that it's going to be okay to close? What do you think, Mariah? Because I'm not privy to these back and forth conversations.
I mean, I am happy to work with Mark and Rob and anyone else who wants to be part of those conversations to come up with a proposed plan and either bring it back to you all, or if you
Yeah.
have the blessing to just move forward with it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately and fortunately, this is timed right with when we were mapping this. So I don't want to finalize the map that we're having made until we decide this. We can ask them to hold off, but our funding for that project runs out in December. So I would just try to make whatever we're going to do happen before then. Obviously, this is an property, but if we're going to try to, I don't know, make some kind of a loop over there that doesn't go along the road, if we could try to do that within the next 6 weeks or so, then we could have the map be as up to date as possible.
Just to keep the peace, it just seems like we've got to get Rob understanding what the motivation is to do this, and he has to understand the limits to what the proposal is.
He got back to me basically saying he didn't, well, I could fish up his latest email and I can tell you what it says. I can't see you while I do this, but his last response was he wanted to have us make a priority load trail behind the Katz property as priority. And he thinks we could do it with a trail crew, and that would take care of people walking on the road. He also said that when he spoke to Harry and Sue, they don't want the they don't want that eastern yellow trail closed off. And I'm not sure what he's talking about. He said Harry volunteered to change the sign to reflect the new trail, and I'm not sure which sign he's talking about, because there's 3 signs different. There's like 2 or 3 signs in the woods that say east entrance. So, I mean, I can talk with Harry, and I'm happy to talk with Rob. I can't meet with anybody until next week. Probably next week. And the and I think it's a little more difficult than Rob thought as far as putting a new trail across in the bottom here. I've walked it, and we don't have trail crews. Yeah, we have 1 or 2 people who say they can put in a morning or an afternoon. I don't know. It doesn't. I'm not too worried about it. I just was putting out a proposal, and I guess he got upset at it.
Right. Well, I think that the best thing would be to talk this through with him and just make sure that you're all talking about the same thing. And the best thing would be to meet with, I guess, if Mariah's got the time, just to find a little bit of time to talk that over, because otherwise, like I said, I don't personally, and I'm sure everybody feels the same. I don't want to alienate Rob, who has, felt some kind of close association with this whole project. On the other hand, he's not on the Concom, so, but it'd be good to work it out, at least to explain. So, okay.
Mark,
go
ahead.
I'll set up a time with you and Rob and see if our mapper can come out too, and that way you can also show the mapper, Ryan, any other points of like features that you want on the map, and we can add those to it. So maybe you said you get back in the middle of next week. I'll coordinate with you and Rob about a time maybe at the end of next week that we could all get together on the site and take a look.
I had a couple questions about the map. I may have put them out to you. Is the map going to have be mounted, or not mounted, but generated onto a contour map?
I think we can do that. I don't know when we print it. Yes, we can decide how it's printed, but I believe it's on GIS. So I think we can do all kinds of different overlays if we want it to be a contour map.
Because the other maps that are out there, the ones that are put out by Quab and people, that one's on a contour, and also knowing what showing the contours allows people to choose steep. The other question I had, steep or not so steep trails. The other question I had about the mapping is, how are we going to post through the mapping really without the survey? For instance, there's a lot of interest in people who use the western end of the White Trail, who go up the White Trail, and that seems fine as long as they don't go over onto the other private property. When I was up there with, or no, I wasn't, we weren't up there, but we were with Bill, is it, who lives over, I can't think of his last name.
Bill Morris.
Bill Morris. When I was out there with Bill Morris, he was like, well, if that boundary went on the crown of the verge of the hill, whatever the phrase was, well, then it's well down, we've got property up there. Like, he's been around a lot up there, and he's like, so I think the finding out what the survey really shows would say where the White Trail has to stop,
Were you able to get hold of the guy, the surveyor, and ask him to come out?
Yeah, I haven't gone any further with that because I don't know that I can authorize it.
Well, if you can get a proposal from him of what it would cost for him to come out and identify that boundary based off of his previous survey and what you've dug up, then we can bring that to to you all and to Brian and to make sure everything's good, and you would be able to decide, whether you want to have that point resurveyed. In terms of the map, right now the map doesn't show the White Trail at all. We could show the section of the White Trail until it hits what we currently know as private property. It depends how much you want to encourage people to go up there, but not onto private property. Obviously, there's a trail there. People are welcome to use it, but we also want to be clear where they should stop.
Yeah, they go up to the overlook, which is well at this end. The other thing is, when he did the survey, he did not survey that additional piece that's over the hill. That's not part of that survey.
The part that we just got last year?
Yeah, that's not part of the survey.
Right.
I'll contact the surveyor and see about that. Next week, I'll wait on you to tell me to tell me when we can meet with Rob. In the meantime, I'll see about getting those trees down and cut up. And other than that, I had other suggestions about the White Trail, the overlook, and what originally seemed like a pretty far out plan that was suggested to me for putting a picnic table all the way up on top, but which eventually came through with an idea how to do it. But we can leave all that till later.
Yeah.
Okay. I spoke to the surveyor last week, and he doesn't want to survey that. He said it's too hard to take his equipment up there. It's too steep, so he may have to find a different surveyor.
Is he not? He's not going to survey your line either?
No, he said the town approached him, and he doesn't want to go back up there again.
Huh. Yeah, I was just thinking when we discussed the picnic table, suddenly somebody said, well, you can get the power company to put everything up right up there at the top. Because they have an access road. I'm surprised he wouldn't be able to get them to open the gate.
Maybe if you suggest that to him, he would do it. But that was the reason he didn't want to lug his equipment up there. It's too hard.
From talking to another surveyor that I know, that surveyor is getting a little bit older now. I mean, that was quite a while ago that he did that, and he may be just getting tired of climbing around in the woods on the hills.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Mark, you're welcome to reach out to other surveyors too to get proposals if you'd like.
I'd like to come to closure on the Poplar Mountain discussion. Morning, go ahead. Morning Star.
I just have one more item after we close
Yeah.
this Poplar Mountain.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So,
Well, I think we're done.
yeah, we're done. Go ahead, Morning.
I was trying to sign up for the fundamentals course and the MACC workshop, and they suspended our account because the dues are not paid. So the dues have to be paid to MACC, or I can't take any workshops, and none of us can take any workshops.
No, I don't know.
How does that get done?
When I heard that, I'm trying to recall either the request for us to pay is in the mailbox still, but I think I turned that into Betsy because I took off Beth Basler and I took off Carol, and I think I put you on. So I don't know. It would have come to me or come to the mailbox, but I'm quite sure we rectified that. So I guess we have to check.
Who generally pays the dues for MACC?
Well, I turn in the names and it goes, and I turn the envelope over to Betsy, and Betsy sends it in, or gets, because the selectmen have to sign off on the check and then it goes forward. They've never ever in 40 years suspended our, I mean, it's been late.
He said we owe $93.
Yeah, which is, I checked with Mark because we had such a small board and said, no, it's this based on the size of the town. You owe $90. So I don't.
I can check with Betsy tomorrow. See if one was submitted to her. It should have been paid. Morningstar, I know Brian, when we got your email, he said that, he would look into it. I'm wondering if there's a way that we can pay that without having to wait for the next bill warrant so that you can sign up. I can talk to him tomorrow because I'd like for you to be able to go, obviously, if you want to go to that webinar. And you said that it's Thursday, right?
It's the 13th, and it's like I took 101 and this is 102, and they don't give that for a long time, so it's
the
kind
13th.
of a,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll try to help you with that tomorrow. And we can pull up the bill warrant and what Betsy was submitted, and maybe the paper just got put in the wrong place, or I don't know. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm very surprised. I'm sorry that this has happened. We've been late, back before, but they always sent a reminder, and they certainly didn't suspend our account. I mean, I have no idea without any warning. I know that we haven't gotten any reminders or second notice or anything like that. So no idea. Something went wrong somewhere.
All right. Well, Mariah, I'll just stay in touch with you about it. And I had also mentioned if there's people that want to take some of these courses that are coming up, do you think any of you are going to take any of those conference courses about carbon sequestration and forest resiliency and this kind of stuff? Is that interesting to folks? Anyone?
I'd like, you had another one you said about different types of people on boards.
Right.
And things.
People of color, indigenous people, what it's like to be on a conservation commission when you're coming with your background. Yeah, that's interesting to me, and I'm interested in the resiliency and the forest management and the carbon sequestration. So those are the things I'm going to be looking at. But
That's
I guess I can report back if no one else.
That would be excellent. Yeah, so okay, so I think we've got a couple of issues resolved, and there's quite a to-do list right now. So unless there's further comments or questions, I would make a motion to adjourn, and I guess I'll have to keep everybody posted on the Red Lantern. But beyond that, I think I have plenty to do. So if you are agreeable, I'd make a motion to adjourn at what time is this now?
8:07.
8:07? Okay. So I've made the motion, reminding everybody, well, that we have a date on the 18th. Second, the motion is seconded?
Second.
Yep, good. Okay, all those in favor, Brule, aye.
Blatchford, aye.
Shenvin, aye.
Mike Schaefer, aye.
Okay, thank you all for your patience, and thanks, Mariah. And we'll see you fairly
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye now.
Good night.
Let's see, how do I?